It's not hard to imagine a world where at any given moment, you and everyone you know could be wiped out without warning at the push of a button. This was the reality for millions of people during the 45-year period after World War II, now known as the Cold War. As the United States and Soviet Union faced off across the globe, each knew that the other had nuclear weapons capable of destroying it. And destruction never loomed closer than during the 13 days of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
What would you do in a moment when the world titters on the edge of annihilation? Scary thought, isn't it? Would you be able to keep your calm if you were under such circumstances, when everyone else is ready to act in fear and panic? How do you make the right decision when the fate of millions hang in the balance and no one knows it but you? You have to make that decision. What if one person's courage, one person's refusal to act could change the course of history? Could you be that person standing firm in the face of overwhelming pressure? Far would you go to protect the lives of others when you know the stakes are beyond imagination? When the world is watching and your voice can trigger a disaster if it's the wrong one, what would you choose in the coldest moments when silence and uncertainty are your only companions? Can you still hold on to your humanity? Could you make a choice that saves the world even when it seems impossible? October 27, 1962, the world held its breath. 13 days into the Cuban Missile Crisis, the United States and the Soviet Union stood eye to eye. Nuclear arsenals poised for global destruction were in play. Above ground, politicians talked and talked and talked. They measured their words. They issued threats. But deep in the Atlantic Ocean, far below the surface, in a Soviet submarine, history hinged on a quiet man, a quiet scientist named VasilI Arkhipov. The submarine was B-59. It had been lurking in the Caribbean for days, evading U.S. connection. But now it had been found. U.S. warships were circling above, dropping practice release charges to force the submarine to surface. Inside the B-59, though, temperatures reached over 100 degrees Fahrenheit. It was devastatingly hot. The air was thick with carbon dioxide. The men were exhausted, tense, on the edge of delirium. They were cut off from Moscow, no contact for days. The crew had no idea whether war had already broken out or not. "We're being attacked," Captain Savitsky shouted. "They've started a war. We need to strike back." The captain, Valentin, was convinced. The order came: prepare the nuclear torpedo. Yes, nuclear.
1962. America and the Soviet Union, two superpowers with enough weaponry to destroy the world 20 times over, faced off.
Everybody's got a nuke in their pocket. One spark would set it off.
That spark would come in the autumn of that year.
100 meters.
The world held its breath as 4 Soviet submarines armed to the teeth with nuclear weapons set off for Cuba.
Imagine the B-59 carried a 10-kiloton nuclear torpedo, roughly 2/3 of the power of the bomb that was dropped on Hiroshima. If fired, it could destroy the U.S. fleet in the area, and it would have triggered a full-scale nuclear response. Protocol dictated that all 3 senior officers on board had to agree before launching. Captain Savitsky was ready. He wanted to launch. Political officer Ivan Mislenikov agreed. Only one man stood in the way, that calm, quiet Vasily. He wasn't the captain, but he was the flotilla commander, senior in rank to both the captain and the political officer. His voice carried weight. "No," Vasily said, "we will not launch. We don't know the clear picture. We must surface. We must wait and see." Just imagine that moment inside a submarine, hot as a furnace under siege, thinking your country is being bombed. And still, this man, in the face of hysteria, said no.
The special cargo in each of the subs is a single nuclear torpedo of extraordinary power. Weapons with the same strength as the bomb dropped on Hiroshima.
At that period of time, it was called special weapon. Not nuclear torpedo, but special weapon. At that time, we couldn't even imagine a nuclear torpedo.
The commander of each of the 4 submarines has permission to act without Moscow's order. Rurik Ketov was commander of one of the other subs.
I had a written order that I could release it, and if there was an order to fire the torpedo, I would do it without a second thought. For the first time in life, a commander of a submarine had a nuclear weapon and had the authority to fire the missile on his command.
Each sub must follow a strict safety protocol.
Good. Maslenikov, your key.
The nuclear torpedo can only be launched if both the sub's captain and its political officer are in agreement. Each has 1/2 of a key that, when joined, will unlock the firing mechanism. A signal is then transmitted to the torpedo bay.
All correct, sir.
On this voyage, the B-59 requires an additional step. VasilI Arkhipov, the head of the fleet, has the power of veto.
Thank you.
If these 3 men agree, they can unleash Armageddon.
Vasily's calm prevailed. He persuaded the captain, and the launch was aborted. The submarine surfaced. The crisis de-escalated, and the world kept turning.
We don't know that this is an attack. For all we know, they are trying to surface us.
The future of the world now rests on VasilI Arkhipov's shoulders.
We have orders to defend ourselves.
You may be captain of this ship, but I am commander of this fleet, and you need my permission.
VasilI Arkhipov was our commander of the fleet. He was a submariner and a close friend of mine. He was a family friend. He stood out for being cool-headed. He was in control. He was a real submariner.
Two of us have agreed. Do I have your permission?
No. You need all 3 of us.
He knew that it was madness to fire a nuclear torpedo.
Place the special weapon in the initial position and restore protection.
Born in 1926 in a small town near Moscow, Vasily Alexandrovich had grown up during turbulent times. He served in the Pacific during World War II and later graduated from the Naval Engineering School. He was steady, intelligent, and soft-spoken. But his moment of truth came not in textbooks or drills. It came in darkness, with sweat dripping down his face, when the world was only minutes away from nuclear holocaust. In later years, when interviewed about the incident, his fellow officers said they owed him their lives. The world owed him far more than their lives. Yet for years, no one knew. The story was classified. Nobody could know. Even in Russia, nobody knew. Vasily's name faded into obscurity. He continued serving in the Navy, eventually retiring as a vice admiral. He passed away in 1998, never fully being recognized for the day he changed history. In 2002, the world finally heard the truth. And it was terrifying. What could have happened? We had come within inches of extinction and had been saved by the courage of one man standing against consensus, against panic, against war. He could have been overruled. He could have doubted himself, but he didn't.
Arkhipov, the man who saved the world, eventually succumbed to radiation poisoning from the K-19 disaster. He became ill and died of kidney cancer, an affliction that took many others who served on the sub. It's taken 40 years for the true danger the world faced to come to light. In 2002, Vadim Orlov told his story at a press conference. Before this, no one had any idea the subs were even armed with atomic weapons, let alone that the actions of a single man prevented one from being launched.
He didn't doubt himself. He trusted himself. So when we talk about heroes, when we use the word casually, a hero, let's remember that this man, Vasily, was not a warrior in the battlefield, not a leader on stage. He was a scientist. He remained calm and said no when it mattered most. Because of him, cities still stand, oceans still rise, and the sun still shines. Because of him, we are here. It's not a fiction. It's not a legend. It's not. This is history that remained hidden because of classification. Then at one point, it was declassified, and we learned about it. There are so much heroism in the world. Today, yesterday, and the day before. From the beginning until the end, there will be heroism everywhere. Some of them we learn about, some of them we never hear from. There is heroism in small villages where there's no camera, where there's no diary written down. History teaches us everything. Your story can be history. Your story can change the world. We need to share stories. We need to talk about what happens in the world, those good moments, those great instances where the world changes for the better, when the world moves a little bit towards the direction that takes us to a better future. Thank you for tuning in. Always a pleasure to be with you. I would love for you to engage with me, to communicate your thoughts, to share your stories. Until next week, stay blessed, stay happy, stay hopeful, take care, and see you next time. Bye. From scattered fragments to global unity, healing our world together.